The heat in Manila's slums was heavy even in the early morning. As the sky began to glow, a young boy named Miguel stood outside his mother's small makeshift home, corrugated metal sheets, scraps of wood, tattered tarps, clutching a second-hand guitar whose strings were frayed but still singing. Miguel had learned long ago that his voice, more than anything, could give people pause, the silence that comes just before someone is moved. Every morning, before the hustle of vendors and jeepneys, Miguel would walk the dusty path to the community church courtyard, where tourists sometimes gathered. With no sheet music, no stage lights, he would sing bits of songs he had heard on the radio or at fiestas. He loved Hotel California. The melody haunted him, the words mysterious, full of longing. So he practiced that, too, the guitar chord, the harmonies, the pauses. One Tuesday, after a light rain, he sat up under a palm tree by the church's gate. A small audience gathered, an old woman selling sampaguita garlands, children chasing a stray puppy, and a foreigner tourist who dropped a few pesos. The rain had washed the air, made it fresh. Miguel's voice rose, clear and trembling, on a dark desert highway. That afternoon, a local producer, Nina Santos, on break from a television shoot nearby, heard him. She paused. She had seen hundreds of auditions, she had heard thousands of voices. Many were polished, trained, hopeful, but something in Miguel's singing made her stop. Not because it was perfect, it wasn't, but because in every note he sang, she heard survival, love, yearning. She approached him after he finished. His heart pounding, Miguel nodded when she asked if he was interested in auditioning for a national talent show they were casting, one that offered one contestant a golden buzzer, a direct passage to the finals. His family had no money for fancy clothes or coaches. His mother, Maria, sold fruits at the market, and his father had long since died. But Miguel believed in the melody of dreams more than in what was missing. The journey to the audition hall was overwhelming. Huge lights, cameras, rows of chairs, competitors in suits and dresses, artists with perfect diction. Miguel felt out of place in his worn shoes, his t-shirt patched, fingers calloused from grafting on his guitar. The other contestants smiled politely, sometimes not so politely, they wore confidence. He wore hope. When his turn came, he walked onto the stage and looked straight ahead. The judges nodded. Miguel closed his eyes and began. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair, his voice cracked once, but he held. He let the guitar ring. His voice trembled into the second verse, listeners leaned forward. Some eyes glistened, someone swept a hand over their face. Then came a moment he didn't anticipate. Halfway through, a judge's phone camera was turned toward him, tears in the judge's eyes. The audience hushed so completely you could hear the flutter of breathing. When Miguel reached the part about being trapped in a dark desert highway, in a hotel with mirrors on the ceiling, he sang not as a boy performing but as a soul speaking. When the final chord faded, there was silence, then thunderous applause. The judges stood. One of them, a well-known singer whom Miguel had admired from afar, rose, walked forward, raised her hand and pressed the golden buzzer. The stage exploded in golden confetti, lights bursting, cameras flashing. Miguel, stunned, tears forming, looked at the judge, at the audience, at his trembling hands on the guitar. Maria, in the audience, felt something inside her crack and heal all at once. She had scraped together the small fare to come here, to watch. Her heart swelled at seeing Miguel, her son, being seen. After that golden buzz, Miguel's world changed. Not overnight, but in shifts, small miracles. A local radio station played his audition clip, strangers shared it online. The producers gave him a temporary tutor, someone who helped him with breathing, with phrasing, with confidence. The show's crew bought him new guitar strings. His patched shirt was replaced by a simple but clean outfit, nothing flashy, but respectful of what he had always wanted. Yet the change most profound was what happened in Miguel's own heart. He had always sung for respite and hope, but now he sang with purpose. He realized that his voice, fragile, imperfect though it was, could touch others, the old woman, the children, people who felt ignored, people who felt trapped. He saw that kindness wasn't only in applause, but in moments, a nod from a judge, a word of encouragement from a stranger, a mother's pride. As the final competition night approached, Miguel was invited to attend a benefit concert for families in need, part of the show's outreach program. He was to perform, Hotel California, again, in front of thousands, but more than that, he was to share a message, that no matter where you begin, no matter how limited your resources, your voice matters. On stage, Miguel stood before the crowd. He looked out and saw glimmering eyes, Some bored, some joyous, some skeptical, many hopeful. He strummed the opening chord. His voice rang out. On a dark desert highway, as he sang, he thought of his mother rising before dawn to sell fruit, of classmates who laughed at his torn shoes, of every time he thought of giving up. He sang louder, not to prove, but to give hope, give perseverance, give compassion. At the climax of the song, the audience joined in, some faltered, many shook their heads to clear tears. After the final note, there was a moment that felt suspended in time, absolute silence, then a wave of cheers. Tears streamed down faces in the crowd. Maria stood, hands shaking, calling out, "Miguel." One woman, a stranger, came up afterward and said, "Boy, you remind me of someone I knew, who had to work 3 jobs and still believed something beautiful could come. You sung for all of us." Another young musician asked Miguel to share tips. A radio station donated guitar lessons and better equipment. His community raised a small fund to repair the roof of their church, where Miguel had first sung. Miguel didn't win the grand prize. But something far greater happened. The golden buzzer had done more than propel him through a show, it had unlatched doors he had never known existed, doors of connection, of kindness, of humanity that reaches across barriers of poverty and geography. He returned home changed, not because he was famous, but because he knew he was worthy. He saw that his voice, given from a difficult place, could spark healing in others. His mother saw that her sacrifices had carried weight. And his neighborhood, people who once passed him without seeing, now greeted him with smiles, pride, hope. In the end, Miguel learned a truth universal. Generosity, whether in time, applause, opportunity, or love, transforms not just the receiver, but the giver. When someone presses a golden buzzer, it's not the buzzer itself that matters so much as the courage to say, "I see you. You belong. Your song is needed." If we all offered just one small act of kindness to someone who sings in the storm, perhaps we too could light up their sky. And in that light, we all become richer. May we remember that hope can live in whispered melodies, and that compassion can give voice to the voiceless. Wherever you are, whatever your journey, someone is waiting to hear your song.